guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Honorata. If you like this video, please do not forget to subscribe. Today I would like to be talking or giving my opinions or airing my views on the trending topic in the continent. So I would like to be talking about African unity. So as we all know, African leaders are all working very hard towards creation of this African unity. As we all know, they're working towards the removal of the borders. They are working towards one passport, and most importantly, they are working to see that the intra-African trade is happening. So these are very important goals that Africa is setting for itself, and so the citizens, and I guess in the entire world, is looking forward for that. So I guess one of the questions which is in people's mind, especially at least in my mind, is who is going to be the leader of the unity? Because I know that is a very touchy subject, but honestly, without a single leader, there is no much difference between what we had and what is aimed at. So I guess having one leader means having one voice, and that is what the unity means. Otherwise, it's going to be just a pseudo unity, and it's just going to take us back to where we were before, because I don't think it's a good thing to have each president, different countries, doing their own thing. Yes, I don't believe that presidents should be removed. The country presidencies should be removed. I don't think that's going to happen, or I don't think that's necessary. But like somebody suggested, they can be called governors. They would still be there, but we need this one unified voice, so that somebody or a voice or a body that can be speaking for the entire continent. Because considering what's happening, or the way the world is going, where the world is going, it's there's no choice. That has to happen. So I guess the question is, who should be that? Who should that be? Should be the president. So one of the things that I would like to point out is, I see in most other countries, especially developed countries, before somebody becomes a president, there are usually presidential debates. And I think it's extremely important, of course, because in other countries they have multi-parties. But in Africa, we don't have those multi-parties, and for good or bad reasons. So I think if we're going to have a good African leader, I think it will be important to have, the presidential debate. This is to inform people, or inform people of what the candidate is going to is aspiring for. What is their goals? What are they trying to achieve? Because as far as I'm concerned, most of the time, African leaders, they just take the position. We don't know what are their goals, and so it's very hard to hold them responsible for what they did or what they didn't do. So I think this time it's going to be important that we have a candidate, and they should debate. I'm sure that we could have at least 1 or 2, 3, and then one of them would be chosen. We have who should be the candidate? I don't know, but most of us, we've seen people like Kagame, speaking for the continent a lot of time, We've seen Malema, and all these leaders doing, a very good job. So any of those can be a candidate. We also seen one leading figure who usually tends to be in a background, but I think maybe for the good of the continent, and also for the for a role model. I think Dangote should also be. I mean, it would be nice if he was considered to be an African leader, or at least he should play some kind of a role in the leadership. So what kind of a leadership do you need for Africa? Africa is a very complicated, a lot of challenges. We all know. Anybody knows about the history of Africa, it's a challenging continent. Maybe it's the most challenging continent compared to most continents because of our history. And so we need to be extremely careful when we choose the leader. So I could say that at least the leader, should be able to demonstrate that they have, they are capable of leading. Okay, they should be able to demonstrate that they are capable of leading by what they've done before. That they have made a differences in some people's lives. I can take an example again, Kagame. I can even take an example of Magufuli, for eradicating, or at least for fighting the corruption in the country. I mean, this is a disease which is all over the continent, actually, in other parts of the world. So people who have made a difference in lives of Africans, those are people that need to be considered, or at least should go for the, should arouse interest when choosing the African leaders. Again, I've also mentioned Dangote. He is, achieved, he has accomplished it a lot. And so he is a very suitable candidate for the leadership, because you lead by what you have done, by example, So I think he's one person that he should be considered to be a leader or to be a president. So anyway, that is up to the candidates, who wants to become a president. But I think it's extremely important that Africa should have the leader. And one of the reasons that I guess I'm pushing for that is because, like I said, Africa has its challenging, has its challenges. Like most, most other continents, or most of the underdeveloped continents, Africa has the challenges. We see one of the serious problems with Africa is something that bothers me, and I'm sure a lot of Africans, is the a lot of people, good people in the world, is this unemployment to the youth. So to me, that is extremely sad, and I don't see why it should be the case. Okay, so in the previous video, I mentioned about the reason to make the villages a place where youth would be employed. Okay, because the current conditions is most youth run into the cities, and where they just become unemployed. Some of these get involved in doing crimes, and what I'm trying to say is Africans should try, the leaders, they should try to be creative. We do not have to do things, the way they've been done before, or the way, Why should we have youth unemployment if you have, why should we have youth unemployment if you can keep them in the villages? Okay, so now the thing is, I'm not talking about forcing people to stay someplace, because that's wrong, and you cannot force a human being to be a certain place. People will always go where they feel like, but the leaders, should do something to make people like to stay in the village. And there are a number of things that can be done. First of all, these villages should be made places where people like to stay. One example, it could be, okay, so one of the professionals that hire a lot of people in our countries is teachers. So why not subsidize the teachers' salaries? Give them good salary. Give the teachers who are very good, give them good salaries. Let them have good life. Build houses, build a house. Allow a teacher's salary to build him a good house, so that most people, people who live in the village could be looking up to, people like that, and seeing that, okay, so there's an opportunity in living in the village. There's the opportunity of having a good life in the village. So, as we all know, teaching is one profession that hires a lot of people, youth, in the village. And actually with that, I want to say something. I hear a lot of disturbing stories about teachers, some of the teachers, not all the teachers, few teachers who are doing bad things towards the students, like beating some of the students to the point where they die. So that is something that, needs to be paid attention, because some of these teachers are taking too much power into their own ends, so that's something separate. But teachers should be, it's one profession where you can use it as an example or as an attraction to make people like to stay in the village. Other profession, of course, even the medical assistants, you get a lot of medical assistants who stay in the village. Now, choose those good medical assistants, give them good salaries so that their lives can flourish. Make it possible for them to buy, car on loans. When we get these aids from the outside countries, try to build the infrastructures, create the infrastructures, the good infrastructure. And also, there are a lot of youths that are hanging around in the cities. Make them go and work on the villages, in the village. Make the village beautiful. Make them, let them. Okay, we could have the, you could have a private company, do this, beautifying of the towns in the village, because this way, you could have these private companies hiring a lot of youth to work in the roads, Some of these things can even be done for free. But what I'm trying to say, we have to have leaders who are creative. This way, a lot of these youths who are unemployed, who are living miserably, can go and become productive, make the place, the village, which is a place, it's a beautiful place, which is already there. God gave it to us, and it can employ people, But because I'm sure by now, the world is coming to realization, some people like me, that maybe there was something wrong with this education system, because it really doesn't make sense for somebody to go study for all this number of years, and most of there's a lot of people who are passing, studying and coming out with good grades, only to be told you are not good, and that is something is seriously wrong, because there's nothing wrong with these people. It's just that there's something wrong with this way of the education system, Personally, I feel like what we need is to have the standard 7 level of education, the elementary educational level. That is what is extremely important. After that, people do not have to go to school after that. But anyway, that is my opinion. But we Africans, we have to do something that helps saves our population. We cannot do things which we are geared towards helping someone and impose it in our people, and our people becomes poor, failures, just because we are not using our brain. So that is one thing that I would like to emphasize. Also, the industry that is there and that can absorb a lot of people is farming. Okay, so if farming is done well, is done with modern techniques, it will be very successful. It will be attractive. You know, I heard Dangote saying that for the for the soil to to be very good for cultivation, you need to be tested, sent to the lab, tested, and then it can be matched by the kind of the fertilizers that will be suitable for that soil. So all these things need to be put into play. We needed leaders that can think that way. We do not have to do things which are not giving results to our people. So the fact that we have 90% of our youths unemployed, that is not acceptable, and it should not be, just ignored. Or somebody should be able to see, no, this is not right. Something needs to be done. Okay, so now with that, the last thing I would like to say is about, with the creation of African unity, I would like to suggest something. I would like to suggest that why can't we have, as Africans, knowing that most of the human rights are usually done, I mean, history has shown that, even now, that most of the abuses of human rights are done towards the black people. So why can we have, my suggestion would be, why can't we create a judiciary system and have it in somewhere like Addis Ababa, or have it in Addis Ababa, or have it in Arusha, so that, wherever these atrocities are being conducted, someone can report. They can be reported in somewhere in Africa. I mean, we have so many things that are going on, and with the way technology, with the advancing of the technologies, some of these things continue to happen, and they're going to be very complicated. So the result is putting the lives of black people's lives in danger. And so what we could do is, wherever we see anybody, and this could be anybody, whoever witnesses or sees something which is against human rights or any atrocities, it should be reported to the court system that should be set somewhere. I know most of us will say, okay, she's just being, she's just theoretical, because what she's saying is not really, it's not easy to put in practice. But, when you bring out something, whether you can exercise the judgment or whether you can stop it, it's one thing. But if you bring it out, if there's something bad is being done towards, whether it's, towards the black people, whether it's genocide about black people in certain countries, or whether it's, killing the pygmies in Congo so that, somebody can extract their minerals. If these things are brought someplace, it's one way of hampering those things from happening. And so instead of just sitting back here and either complain or do nothing, why not bring these things to court? And the way things are going, whoever is doing those kind of atrocities will pay. If not today, maybe later. And if people know that, they will stop doing that kind of stuff. So this is one thing that I would like to point out. We know that there are genocide which is taking place towards black people in some kinds of parts of the world. Why not report this to the to this judiciary system in Africa? And I'm choosing Africa because this is where I feel the court system should be, because whether we like it or not, historically black people are more likely to be mistreated than any other race. And where is the best place for the court system to be? I think is in Africa. any genocide, I don't care even if it's in Africa, it should be reported. It should be reported, and also the court session should be conducted. I mean, these crimes or this court should be litigated in public, and then the judgment should be passed. Now, whether the judgment would be followed, that is a different case. But as far as Africans are concerned, they should just put it out there. I mean, there is all these allegations about Melinda and Gates foundation, about eugenics, whereby they're trying to, allegations that, this is just, this is the body which is trying to eradicate black people, or at least to minimize their multiplication. These things should be brought, in front, Let them be investigated. If they are true, then of course we can at least stop them or bring them into light. Because the way things are, we hear about the eugenics, we hear about Melinda and Gates Foundation, what they are doing to Africa. We hear these rumors and nothing is being done, and yet we keep seeing Bill Gates, sitting there with our leaders, is, talking about all these projects or the good thing. So it's very confusing. We need to understand what is going on, And also, I mean, if this guy is really for the good, he's trying to introduce vaccines. If people have mixed feelings, they're going to refuse the vaccines. And that is not going to be helping Africa, or it's not going to help anybody, because, of course, if you get diseases, the diseases will be, spread in the whole world. So this is something that actually not just we should be working towards, fighting. It should be the entire world. So my message is, let's build a African, let's build a judiciary system in Africa, somewhere in Africa. Any human being, there are so many good people there. If you witness something which is against human rights, and especially towards black people, you can report it. You can send a video, you can send whatever information you have, and let it be litigated. It will be litigated in public, and the results will be published out there. If these people are found wrong, if the perpetrator is found wrong, he could either be made to pay. That's the only way to do it. You do something against people, you kill people, you loot against certain nation, you just have to be reported, and you have to pay, because there is no reason why should other people just continue to ruin other people's lives, while these other people are just sitting there, like nothing is happening. So that's all I have to say for today. I would like to hear your comments. And again, I want to say one thing. I am not expert in what I'm talking about, but at the same time, I feel obligated to say something, because I feel like there is people who are supposed to be doing these things or supposed to be working on these things are not doing what they're supposed to do. So unfortunately, it's forcing people who may not even be qualified to do what I'm doing to do it. But unfortunately, I'm not a kind of a person who could just sit there and do nothing, especially if I know that something should be done, and maybe it should be done a certain way. Okay, with that, I would like to say, I hope you have a good night. As you can see now, it's dark. Say thank you so much for watching. Bye.